In British Columbia, there's a map of unidentified human remains of various people found across Vancouver Island. There's body parts that have been found but never have been successfully connected to a specific missing persons case. And in British Columbia, but on that island specifically, the amount of people who go missing is insane, and it's not a new thing. Forensic analysis have tracked unsolved disappearances heavily from the 1980s to the present day, some even dating back to the 1950s. What is going on in that island? Let's talk about just one of those unsolved disappearances. It takes us back to March of 1991, when a 4-year-old little boy vanished. Michael Wayne Donahue was born May 12th of 1986 to his parents Crystal and Bruce. He also had a baby sister named Caitlin. At the time of his disappearance, he was only 4 years old, almost 5, with his whole life ahead of him. March 24th was a Sunday, and that day has been on constant replay in Crystal Donahue's mind ever since. She was on her way to a Sunday football game with her entire family. It was a windy afternoon, but a pretty normal Sunday on Vancouver Island, and Crystal was playing in a women's flag football game at Blanchard Elementary School. Bruce, her husband, Michael's father, was also there to watch, and he had Caitlin, Michael's little sister, with him as well. But Michael was a 4-year-old little boy. He really didn't have any interest in watching the football game. He wanted to play. The school playground was right there, just steps away, perfectly visible from the field. Michael's asking to go play. Crystal's hesitating. Meanwhile, she's zipping up his hoodie because it's a windy day outside, and eventually she just gives in. She says, "Okay, you can go play in the playground. I'll watch you from here. Just wait right there. Do not move, and Daddy will come get you in a second." Michael ran off to the playground, and that was the last time Crystal or anyone who has ever come forward would see Michael Donahue ever again. He disappeared in what felt like seconds. He was last seen around 12:30 p.m. just after the family arrived at the field for the game. Shortly after he went to go play, Bruce went to check on him, and he wasn't there. As soon as Crystal looked over as well and didn't see him, every adult stopped. About 50 people started spreading out looking for Michael, calling out his name. His parents called the police immediately because Crystal just had a really bad gut feeling, and she wasn't gonna let any time pass by without knowing where her son went. But it made no sense because it was a school playground. It was Sunday afternoon. The area was full of families and people that were there to watch the game. There were people everywhere, and yet minutes passed. They turned into hours, and there just seemed to be no witnesses in Michael's disappearance. Not a single person saw what happened, at least not anyone that has ever come forward. He was just there, and then he wasn't. Pretty quickly, police classified the case as an abduction rather than a missing child's case because of how quickly they noticed that he was missing. And because he was only 4 years old, he couldn't have run off and gotten that far away on his own. And all detectives from the Victoria Police Department were called in. Pretty quickly, tips started coming in, hundreds of tips from across North America. And at that time, they had to be written out on paper and sorted out manually because remember, 1991, there were no digital tip systems, no CCTV cameras on every corner, no Amber Alert. There was only so much they were working with. And when the hours turned into days and then into weeks and then into months, authorities continued following every tip and interviewing possible witnesses around the area. And one detail kept coming up. The only witness report really that police were able to uncover was from someone who described a strange man in his either late 40s or late 50s with a brown van near the playground. A month after Michael's disappearance, police staged a recreation of that day at the elementary school, hoping that having the community walking through might make someone remember an important detail that could help them out in the investigation, but it didn't. And with only a description of a suspicious brown van, eventually the case went cold, and it is still unsolved to this day. In 2006, reports of a man who physically resembled Michael and had been living in British Columbia ever since 1990 came up, but DNA testing confirmed that he was not Michael. In 2009, police in Milwaukee, Wisconsin found a missing persons poster with Michael's face on it at the home of a man named Vernon who had confessed to a psychiatrist that he had information in relation to a missing children's case. But he passed away from natural causes before investigators could fully explore that lead. In 2011, police were notified of a man living in Chase, British Columbia, who looked strikingly like Michael, but again, DNA testing confirmed that he was not. But Crystal already knew. She had said, "Show me a picture and I will tell you," saying that she thinks, being a mother, she would recognize her own son. When Michael Donahue was last seen, he was wearing a blue hooded jacket with red lining and red cuffs, a Teenage Ninja Turtles t-shirt with multicolored rugby pants and blue sneakers. If he is still alive today, Michael Donahue would be 38 years old, and his family has made it more than clear that they will never ever give up on looking for Michael. And the reason why I wanted to bring attention to this case is not only for Michael Donahue and the Donahue family to keep receiving the attention and the awareness that they deserve, but also because Michael Donahue isn't the only child or person who has disappeared on Vancouver Island in Canada. Children, hikers, tourists, locals have been vanishing on Vancouver Island for decades and at a rate that is more than double the national average, and it feels impossible to get any answers to any of these cases. And obviously, so many families have been affected by these disappearances. There are so many questions in the conversation regarding this. Why are so many cases unsolved? What do they have in common? Why on that island? There has been talk of possible cult connection. Some people blame it on the wilderness. Others think that it might be the same person responsible who just hasn't been caught. Who knows? But the film that that is in theaters today. It was just released today. It's called Hunting Mathew Nicoles, and it's inspired by these events. And I want you guys to know the reason why I think these kind of films are important to watch and talk about, especially this one because it's inspired by these events and that island, is because the more that people know about a case or a location or an unsolved mystery or mysteries, plural, the more likely it is that the right conversation will be brought up and that maybe something will come up that will help solve a real case. You never know these days with the power of social media and technology and films like these that bring awareness. I think it is so incredibly helpful in making sure that unsolved mysteries do not stay unsolved. It's also an incredible film, and I really encourage you guys to watch it this weekend in theaters. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know if you've ever heard of Michael's case or any other missing persons case on Vancouver Island. Let me know if you guys watch Hunting Mathew Nicoles in theaters this weekend. I want to know your thoughts on that as well. And yeah, thank you for spending time with me today. I hope you guys are having the best day. If not, go do something to make it the best day. Make somebody happy, and I will see you in my next video. Massive kiss on the forehead to every single one of you.